Hello, everyone. We are gathered here. It's 12 noon on a Wednesday, December 30th, 2020, and we are just starting a new live. Today's guest star is Taylor A. Norris, and she is going to be joining us from Hawaii. So we're just waiting here for a few minutes as she pops on, and I'm going just to take a few minutes and take one deep breath in and out and get in our heart center. If you are hopping on right now, I'm just gonna do a little guided centering practice, and if you want, you can close your eyes and tune into your breath, the natural rhythm of it, and the warmth, the texture, the sensation of it following into your nose and nostrils and following down through your throat, filling your chest area, connecting with your heart, feeling your heartbeat. Feeling the expansion and contraction of this beautiful heart center. Allowing everything that's natural here to join in and be in acceptance and love. And when you're ready, open your eyes, and I see Joyful Raw Life, Miss Taylor A. Norris here. Hi, Taylor. If you want, please ask to join and I can accept you onto the call. I see you are here. Hi, Taylor. So as we wait for Taylor to request to join the chat, just want to say that I'm really grateful for today and this new coming ahead of us. All right. Hi, Taylor.
Hey.
Hey.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Okay. Yeah, I have a microphone, which I plugged in, but then I couldn't hear anything. So I was like,
oh, no.
That's not going to work.
Yeah. Actually, our connection is pretty good and I can hear you. So there's no echoes or anything. Yeah, I was just sharing with some people who are joining, just kind of like a heart centering, tune in to breath and heart center, and feeling really good and grateful for today.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing everybody joining, so thanks for coming on. How are you, Taylor?
Yay. I'm good. I was just like, I caught the tail end of the meditation. I was like, oh man, that's a great idea. I was just doing my Reiki, the technique I showed you when you were here.
I love that one.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
tuning
and
into
I
our
made some
authentic
tea.
self. Oh, cool. Is that your new tea?
This is it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. So those
So
are
that's
crystals you were talking to me about. Those are, what were they called again? Seven?
Sacred Seven.
The Sacred
Sacred
Seven.
Seven. And then it's just a bottle like this.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, it has it where you can put the tea in it, or it can just be a water bottle. And it has this sleeve so it'll stay a bit warmer, and it's also, protective.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'm like so obsessed with this bottle.
I love that, and the color of your tea is amazing. That's your famous what is it, the pea flower or
Butterfly pea.
butterfly pea? Yeah.
Butterfly pea tea, but not butterfly urine. Pee.
Well,
Yeah.
Taylor's gracing us with her presence all the way from Hawaii right now. So I'm in Northern California and we're connecting via this live chat, and I'm super excited to hear your stories and your experience. For all who are new to this, I'm Cseuz, and this is The Switch. And today's episode is number 4, and we are hearing Taylor's vegan switch today. And yeah, I'm just really grateful that you decided to come on. I know this is something very personal and it's your own story, so I feel honored that you're going to be sharing it with us today. And yeah, is there anything you're grateful for today?
Yes, that Naga came back.
Oh,
And she's in heat right now. She's like out there mating with another cat. So if there are weird cat noises on my end, that's what's going down.
got it. We'll be
Yeah.
blessed with their union.
Yes. The love vibration is just so strong.
Oh my
It's so
gosh.
strong.
Wow. So, Taylor and I met, I think through fruit festivals, and Woodstock might have been the first one. Um,
2015.
wow, 2015. So we've just kind of, I guess you could say we've deepened our friendship, and we've met on multiple journeys, whether it was like retreats or fruit festivals, or now even like different trips visiting each other. And yeah, I'm excited. So, do you want to introduce yourself to everyone a bit? Like, you can share me if you feel comfortable how old you are. I think that's something nice because a lot of people are like, "What? You're that age? You look so much younger." Maybe some of
Yeah.
your passions and interests.
Yeah. So I am Taylor. I'm in Hawaii right now, and I am 31 years old. I often get told I look younger than that, and I think I do. Um, I feel really good. I'm super passionate about a raw vegan lifestyle and sharing my journey with that and inspiring other people. I'm also really interested in Ayurveda, in yoga, in meditation, spiritual awakening, Reiki, different healing modalities. I'm also learning a lot about permaculture recently and like growing your own food. That I think is going to be a big focus of 2021 for me. I
Nice.
really dove into like the living foods this year, the microgreens and sprouts, and like, yeah, I just want to do more. And yeah, I love traveling. I love connecting, and yeah,
Yeah, you
adventures in nature.
what I love about you is that you really dive into your passions. Um, so what Anthony just wrote, you guys rock.
Thanks, Anthony. I just
um,
got a Christmas card from him. He's
oh,
so
that's
sweet.
sweet. Nice. Um, so yeah, you really dive into your passions, and that's what I love about, like, one of the things I love about you. You like went all into the sprouts and like really did it up, and you're really experimenting with all these different techniques and stuff. And yeah, it's just really inspirational to watch you.
Oh, thank you, Tina.
So today's focus and my intention is to share about your journey with the whole vegan lifestyle. And I guess one of the first questions I have to ask for you is that you identify as a vegan, right? Or like that you embody a vegan lifestyle. And I was just wondering what that meant to you. Like, what does it mean to be vegan or live this lifestyle?
I think it's a constantly like aspirational thing, to embody the vegan lifestyle. And to me, that means a compassionate lifestyle. It means being compassionate to myself and to all beings, and to do my best to practice ahimsa, nonviolence, and not harm other lives or take life in the quest to support my own life. So yeah, being compassionate to myself, to other people, I think that's really important and sometimes gets lost in the vegan world. To be compassionate to all other animals. I have a hard time with mosquitoes and ants and certain things, but as many creatures as I can. And to be compassionate to this beautiful Mother Earth, Mother Gaia planet
Mm,
as well.
I
So,
love the way you explained that.
mm,
Yeah, it feels really good to hear that. How long have you been on this lifestyle, or how did how long have you been living this way?
since I started first experimenting in 2011, and then in 2012 is when my switch happened.
2012. So
Yeah,
that's
so
been about 8 years,
yeah, like 9 years.
9 years. Yeah, so we're
Yeah.
ending this year.
Yeah.
2021 is coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Now, before you came to this lifestyle, did you have any kind of like ideas or myths or prejudices against it? Like, when was like when you first heard about it, what was that like?
I think it wasn't really myths or prejudices as much as complete and total ignorance of it being a legitimate possibility. And just it was something that really hadn't been on my radar. I'm just having this memory pop in. When I was 16 and in England for a summer, I really didn't like the food there. And I was like, I'm just going to be vegetarian for this month when I'm here because everything's so disgusting. To my palate, at
Yeah.
least. And yeah, that I did kind of do a quasi-vegetarian experiment on that trip. But yeah, after that, it was just not on my radar at all. I looked at food very much as like entertainment, enjoyment, like really like even being a foodie, like fine dining and that kind of thing. So yeah, it was not on my radar at all. And when I first started hearing about it, I was trying to learn how to cook healthy and make healthy food for myself. Because I was like really not healthy at the time and didn't really know how to make things other than like scrambled egg and cheese, like burritos and like bacon, egg and cheese bagel sandwiches and stuff. And just, yeah, I knew how to make a lot of baked goods. So I was reading all these different health food blogs, with different recipes using more vegetables and whole grains and whole foods, and a lot of them just happened to be vegan. Like that's where I gravitated towards, not like trying to find the vegan ones, but it just started happening. And I was following blogs where like these were like fit women runners or like men runner athlete types, and I was really into running at the time and wanting to um, do more with my fitness and athleticism, build a lot of that back. Um, and so, yeah, I was just like, oh, these are like healthy people doing this. These are healthy, fit, active people running marathons and like trail running and all this stuff that I thought was so cool. Um, so yeah, that kind of planted the seed in 2011 that like this is actually legitimate, and there are all these different recipes veganizing like bread even, and cookies and muffins and cakes, and everything that I had ever like enjoyed could be made in a vegan way. So
Did those runners actually claim like I'm using a vegan diet? Okay,
yeah,
so you first heard about that term from them, or
yeah, I think so. I think yeah, before then I was only really aware of like vegetarian
okay.
being a thing. And then yeah, I think they were using like plant-based and vegan, and um yeah, that's when it first really clicked in as like a legitimate concept that people were doing and like I could possibly do. But like I hadn't really heard much about it before then.
So how did that like? Did you just jump right in and start using their recipes or things, or so was it just like it planted a seed and then you had to research more? Or how did that process go?
Yeah, what happened was in 2011, I was in like a really dark place in my life, and yeah, I was a complete disaster in
Yeah.
like across the board. And yeah, I really had this passion and like curiosity about learning to cook healthy. And so finding all those blogs, I just started making the recipes. So I was making a lot of like breads and heavier foods for a partner at the time. And so I just started making vegan versions of everything. Like he loved all these cookies and like cakes and sweets and cupcakes and everything. I just started making vegan brownies, like vegan all of the things, all of the baked goods. And then for myself, I was like starting to make more whole food plant-based meals and and learn how to do that. Like quinoa salad. Like I'd never had quinoa before, and
Yeah.
making quinoa salads and like veggie stir fries with tofu, and shopping at Earth Fair, like the health market. And really 2011, like it was like 3 to 6 months of just experimentation, and I was seeing like this is viable, it's tasty. And it was my partner at the time's dad was saying, I'm gonna let like 2012 be the year I change everything, that everything changes for me. And I was like, I want that too. Like that's a
Mm.
great idea. And and so actually a bunch of different changes facilitated for me. It was the year that everything changed for me. And one of those things was like, I'm diving full on into vegan, and I'm gonna like, gradually kind of do it. Like I'd already phased out like red meats and chicken, and then I phased out eggs too, like went really quickly. I phased out fish was like my last like flesh protein to go, flesh product. And and then it was actually like Greek yogurt that was like the last dairy to go, because I'd given up all other dairy. That was the one that actually would digest semi okay for me. And yeah, I was having that on my oatmeal every day. So by, I think it was like March or April of 2012, that I was transitioned completely, and really, stuck with that the rest of the year. There were a couple times where I might have had a hard time at restaurants, really like, I don't know, like I asked for it to be vegan. I explained what that was, but I'm not sure if it is. But yeah, that was my intention from there on out, like to be vegan afterwards.
So to just for me to understand and the viewers, like
Hmm.
you got the impetus in 2011 and you got really inspired by these vegan athletes who were
Hmm.
runners, and then so it sounds like you came, was that from like a performance inspiration or like more of a health inspiration, or what?
Health.
Health. And
Health, and then underlying this is like I have always been an animal lover, an animal empath, like 100%, like animal communicator, like raised by a dog. Seriously.
You're really big into horses too, I know.
Horses, yeah, like riding horses growing up, like they were my best friends. Like they would come to me in dreams, we would
Oh,
talk. We had
wow.
like a really intense connection with all my family, dogs growing up too. And and I was, yeah, like making that connection too with like, the other part of vegan, not only, are you going to be healthy, fit, lean, running well, is like you're no longer harming these animals that you say you love so much, but you still like eat some of them.
Yeah.
And for on that level, it was like such a no-brainer. It was like 100% I'm into this for the animals also. Um, I want to truly embody my value of being an animal lover.
Yeah.
And this is something that I've overlooked, and now's my time to like step into that because I love animals so much. I feel so connected to them, and I do not want to harm them at all. And clearly, this is a healthy option for people. They're surviving just okay, and thriving without eating animals. So why not? I'll do that too now that I like have made that connection and see that it's a viable option.
When you were making that connection, did you feel like it was just kind of intuitive and natural, that connection of I'm an animal lover and like, wow, this is possible. Like you can live a vegan, plant-based lifestyle. Or did you actually need to or want to research what was happening with the actual system of food? Like, did you go into the animal rights aspect at all? Did you research any of that while you were doing this transition?
At that time, no, it was completely intuitive,
Yeah.
and I was so wrapped up in an extremely abusive, traumatic relationship and dark place in my life that like I needed to like get myself to safety first, and then looking into the animal rights side of things, looking into what's actually happened, that for me came later. That came in, I think, 2013, 2014, more when I was transitioning to like a raw vegan path.
So it was like really embodying this intention of like, I'm an animal lover and this is just what feels right and natural and it's makes sense. And
Hmm.
would you say like this whole transition kind of happened? You said, was it like 3 months or 6 months or eight or more?
There was like a 3 to 6 month, like, I'm just playing around with vegan food, kind of learning how to make things. And then, yeah, beginning of 2012, I was like, we're doing it. And there were about like 3 months of like, I am actively transitioning with the intention to be vegan, like as soon as I'm able to.
So that was like where you did that phasing out process you were talking about? Okay.
Yeah.
So when you act,
Yeah.
so like before it was like getting your feet wet and like learning the recipes and
Hmm.
really getting familiar with it and like incorporating it.
Hmm.
2012 started and you were like, I can do this. Like
Yeah.
I this feels right to me. I want to do it and I'm going to go for it. And you took that period for you it was 3 months and you like phased
Hmm.
out different products. It sounds like you kind of went from like heavier to lighter, like the red meats,
Yeah.
and then you went through all the way to the fish, and then lastly you said the Greek or the yogurt,
Yeah.
and then so did you was that easy for you? Did you have come up with any challenges? How did that? Yeah.
Well, I was highly motivated already to like let go of the dairy because I am definitely lactose intolerant, like
Mm,
my whole life struggling with digestive issues, specifically any kind of milk product, cheese product, except for the Greek yogurt, I guess because of the probiotics, it was better. So I was really motivated by that. Um, Intuitively, I was no longer as drawn to like the red meats and like chicken. I was preparing a lot of that with my partner at the time, and it was like starting to really gross me out, like handling it and the smells and like how it felt. And yeah, that like, it's like not clean when you're using cutting boards and stuff with that stuff. Like it's like not even safe. So, intuitively, I was like really drawn away from that. Um,
Did you,
yeah, I
but
would
did you
say
get
it
any
really wasn't that
challenges? Like,
hard.
it didn't feel hard for you? So it's
Mm-mm.
like,
No, I think because I had that whole, I am good in the kitchen. Like I learned it really fast, and I had, several months of experimentation beforehand. And I'd already found a couple different recipe blogs that I was really liking. I was also making recipes out of this Ayurveda book, and a lot of those were already vegan. So that was going really well. But I think I kind of had all the resources together. I had access to where the food was. I wasn't like intimidated by the grocery store. Like I could do it. Practically I could navigate it. I had all the supplies. Um, and yeah, once I kind of make my mind up about something, it's usually not a problem. And I was getting great results. I mean
yeah,
that
let's hear about that.
yeah. So I was enjoying my food. I wasn't grossed out by it anymore. I was feeling like satisfied. I was feeling healthy. I was feeling like this sense of self-love and nourishment. And I felt myself changing my relationship to food in a really positive way because I really struggled with like a lot of shame and guilt and like disordered thinking around food. And knowing that my food, was healthy for me, it wasn't going to hurt animals. It felt like, this is what I've been looking for. This is what, um, you know, this is really truly nourishment, and it's like ahimsa nourishment. It's nonviolent nourishment. Um, I lost weight too, um, which I'd been kind of up and down. I'd been like way low because of stress, and then it kind of crept back up as I started eating junk again. But, switching to vegan, I think it was like, sticking with the typical portion size and then switching to vegan food, the calorie density equation, I just naturally lost some excess weight. My running got a lot better, like faster, easier. I had more energy to go out and run. I wanted to do yoga every day. I was feeling better in my mind too. I was feeling clear and less anxiety and depression. Granted, at the same time, I had stopped smoking weed, drinking alcohol, and doing other drugs. That went like hand in hand with my vegan switch, was letting go of all of that, and I could finally like think and feel more mentally balanced, emotionally balanced. Yeah, it was just like, wow, like I felt awake,
Yeah.
I felt like, oh my God, this is who I am. Like I lost this person for, I lost myself for like a good, I don't know, since I was like 15 to about 21 or so. I just like, yeah, gotten out of touch with who I truly am. And then this was like the start of getting back in touch with that.
For,
So
for,
it's powerful.
yeah, that is powerful, and I want to hear more about it because maybe for someone who could be listening to this that is vegan curious, who hasn't actually taken that step, like, can you explain more about that awakeness or that sense of relief, integrity that you were talking about? I'd love to hear what that meant or a little bit more detail about that. Like, explain that if you were talking to someone who hadn't done it yet.
Yeah, I think I had lost my sense of like true self-identity, like being aligned with my inner child, being aligned and living in alignment with my values. Because I'd been numbing down a lot with drugs and alcohol, and not even like giving myself the space to figure out who I am and like what I like, and like codependently molding, you know, allowing myself to mold to what other people wanted. And this was like one of the first things that felt like, this is me. This is who I really am. This is what I really want. I have this value of love and compassion and being a good person. And, now I'm doing it. And, now I'm showing that I really care about the animals. It felt like the first kind of like reparenting and like acts of self-love that I could give myself that I really, really needed, because I had not been nurturing and nourishing like my body. I'd previously been struggling with yeah, like I said, disordered eating, and always like trying to like starve myself or do a diet, or not even, I kind of let go of doing the diet, but eat as little as I can, and then even throwing up sometimes. It was just like really not good, my relationship to food. But this felt healthy and wholesome, and like, yeah, I didn't have to feel guilty about eating it, because it was truly good, healthy food. And it was just the plant-based food, and being vegan was the gateway into spiritual awakening for me. And I think the
Mm.
fact that it coincided with so many other lifestyle changes at the time, it was not a coincidence. I think changing to a vegan diet can really unlock a lot of other lifestyle changes and help redirect people's energy into one that's more aligned and more embodied with, their higher self. It felt like finally I was allowing that higher self to kind of start coming through and like have a voice and start taking action. Um, so yeah, it felt like I was finally stepping into like who I am, and it felt like my truth. I was
Mhm.
finding my truth and starting to live my truth. And yeah, I mean, at the same time, like I started doing psychotherapy. I stopped the alcohol, the drugs, the smoking cigarettes, smoking weed. I left that abusive partner. I started healing different relationships. Um, I started, shortly after, like a meditation practice and more of a spiritual practice, and learning about Ayurveda and healing. It helped me start figuring out who I am and what I'm about. It was like the kind of one of the very first baby steps to giving myself the space to do that, and the clarity to
Mm.
do that. Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yes. um, I was intrigued by what you were sharing about 2012 being the year that you chose, like you actively, consciously chose it.
Mhm.
And kind of going back to that point, I don't know, do you remember the day you decided, or do you remember the moment where you actively chose it?
Hmm.
Or right now, is it kind of more of a bigger picture, vaguer memory?
Yeah, it's more vague. I was extremely stressed at that time. Um, and yeah, it's amazing I can kind of recall any of this,
Yeah.
because I was like doped down so much of like 2011. And um, yeah, it had to have been one of these moments when I was like probably on a walk by myself or on a run by myself, sober, and yeah, kind of like found some privacy to like have that desire. I think I started journaling again at that time too. But yeah, what's clear for me is remembering my partner's dad say that about you know, 2012 is going to be the year
Yeah.
I change everything. He was a very overweight man and he had a lot of health problems and he had been very fit in the past and he wanted to get back to that. And um, he was very, very kind man too. And I was really inspired by that. Um, and yeah, like I made it happen. Like I did it. I did the thing. But
Yeah.
yeah, it is kind of a blur because I was so heavily intoxicated, you know,
Yeah.
um, most of the time in an incredibly stressful, abusive relationship where even when I was like sober, there was so much like heavy negative energy going around that yeah, it's amazing. I remember anything. I was also on like psych meds too, and those affect memory, like the
Oh, for sure.
antidepressants and anti-anxiety. I was on lorazepam. Yeah, like one of the benzos, and that like kills your memory.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So now looking back, like now that you can see the bigger picture arc of it, like
Hmm.
if you could give a recipe for, since you're an awesome chef, if you
Hmm.
could get a recipe of how you, what it took for you to become vegan, what would those qualities be? Like what, what actually did it take for you to switch over?
For me, it was knowing that I needed like everything to change. That I was at a rock bottom point. How I was operating in the world, in my life, it was not working. It was not going in a positive direction. And I think it was like future me like shining light back to like that me and being like, come on, girl, you got this. Like,
Mhm.
I'm on the other side. Um, So I think like trusting that someone is like empowering you from the other side can be really helpful. But yeah, I think if you're at a rock bottom moment, if you have a health crisis, a healing crisis, if you know you're just like, I want to feel connected to the divine, or you know, if yeah, it's like figuring out your why, I think is really important. Sorry. And um
It sounded
yeah,
like also
having
the practical points helped you out too, like getting used to the recipes.
for sure. I think even like taking the pressure off yourself if you're like you know, committing to being vegan in 2021, if that's like too big for you, like you can kind of do what I did where I was just like, we're gonna have fun with this. We're gonna explore, experiment, try recipes, and just start making the food and getting used to it. I think that's why I was so successful out of the gate, is I started collecting all these recipes. I started creating my own recipes, and you know, even just having a few kitchen equipment basics. I didn't have a nice blender or anything at the time. I didn't have a nice juicer. I had a knife, a cutting board, you know, frying pan, a way to make oatmeal. It was really simple, and yeah, no fancy equipment or anything needed to get started with just vegan. So if you have fancy equipment, it's like, man, go on with yourself, like have
Yeah.
fun, but you
Yeah.
don't need it necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think taking the pressure off, experimenting, start making the food, start educating yourself on the practical end, like, yeah, how to make the recipes, what are they, and then, you know, start educating yourself too. For me, that came a bit later on learning more about the nutrition and the health and like how to do it in a balanced way. And then the other piece being, okay, to keep me vegan, I need to really learn about what's happening to the animals, the environmental impact, other things that are going to help me really hold on to that value going forward, and also just be more awake and more conscious because that's been really important to me too,
Yeah.
to be aware.
Well, you've been on an 8-year arc of this journey. And this is kind of like right now we've highlighted the beginning of it.
Mhm.
What about the larger arc of it? Like, what are some of the gems you've learned about yourself over these 8 years? Like, what has the vegan lifestyle gifted you in the bigger context?
I mean, it's given me my connection to myself back. It's given me um, the space to like start discovering who I am. It's given me an even deeper connection to animals. It's
Mm.
given me so many new friendships, so many new connections I never would have found before, so many experiences. Like, starting to open my mind to the fact that you don't have to just live your life like in the box kind of way, like of you go to college, you get married, you have the kid, you go to grad school, the career, the 9 to 5, okay, like you save your money, you maybe have a vacation a year, like that whole, I mean, like connecting with vegan community and people is just like blown that up for me. It's like you can do whatever the heck you want, just living from your heart and living compassionately. And yeah, I think it's really gotten me back in touch with that. Just the awareness, the awakening, um, helping motivate me to like start meditating, to start exploring my spiritual side. Um, all these other facets of being were just kind of like unlocked. It seriously just, yeah, college is fine. I went to college too. I actually went to grad school too. I did do some of the normal stuff, but you can do whatever you want. And I think this lifestyle really helped connect me with people who were doing whatever they wanted. And I was like, I think I'm gonna do that too.
Yeah, it's definitely not the mainstream story that's being projected onto society, and
Mhm.
choosing to maybe go against the grain, even when it feels authentic and true, it just feels so freeing and liberating. And like, no, we don't have to live a cookie cutter life or
Mhm.
do what we're told. Like, we can think for ourselves,
Yeah.
and that's freeing, that's liberating. That
Yeah.
it sounds like everything you were saying. I was going to ask you about your spiritual aspects that it
Hmm.
awakened, but like everything you were just naming is, you know, opening to the self in this bigger way. Like you said, you started meditating and just embodying these qualities of authenticity. And to me, that's spiritual too. Like, it just sounds like you were opened up in so many ways. And I think it's so beautiful. What kind of advice would you have for anyone who isn't vegan yet? Like, do you have any tips or advice, or maybe mindset shifts? Anything that off the top of your head, like as advice for
Yeah.
them if
Yeah.
they're curious but they just haven't done it yet?
Yeah. I'd say like follow that curiosity for sure. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, if it's there for a reason. Start exploring, start experimenting, start trying different recipes. Like, there are tons on YouTube. I wasn't even looking on YouTube at that time. We were like the old school like food blogs is where I was at. But yeah, there are tons of free recipes on YouTube, on people's Instagrams, on free ebooks. There are lots of free recipe ebooks. I have one. It's
Get the
raw vegan though. But yeah, we'll talk about that tomorrow.
yeah.
I'd say start making the food. Like, just start making the food and eating the food. And you don't really have to know much beyond that. It will start changing you. I
Yeah.
mean, that's what happened to me. Um, if you're here and you're like resonating with this and you've watched us for like almost 45 minutes, then like just start making the food. Like, you can do it. It's really not that hard either. I think, mindset wise, um, I I struggled a bit about like what do people think? Yeah, just do it. What are people gonna think? And really with vegan, that was a little bit. With raw vegan, that was a lot. Really struggling with that. But don't worry about what other people think. Don't try to veganize anyone. Just work on veganizing yourself first. And um,
That's a good one.
yeah, I think I was lucky. I wasn't like trying to preach from the rooftops or anything my first couple years. That preachiness came later. Oh, it came, and it was delayed because I was like a doped down psych med zombie for my first year or so of being vegan. I was still feeling a lot better and having aspects of awakening, but I was still on psych meds the first year and a few months. But when I came off those, man, things changed
Yeah.
big time. All the clarity and everything got even stronger. Um,
What about navigating emotions? Because when you leave that, because that's like a lot of me. I don't want to judge or anything, but like a lot of
yeah,
numbing, like because you have the pharmaceuticals, and then on top of that, you have
yeah,
the heavier meats that you're letting
yeah,
go, and like
yeah,
the heavier foods and dairy and eggs. So
yeah,
how like that could have been a challenge. How did you? It sound you said
yeah,
you got support with therapy. Was
yeah,
there any other tools that really helped you with that? The
yeah.
emotional.
I was seeing a psychiatrist and a therapist, and then did talk therapy with the psychiatrist. I really, really wish that I'd known more about Reiki and shamanic healing and more alternative healing modalities because I was not familiar with those. I think if you're having difficulty with emotional processing, working with someone who's not just going to try and prescribe you medication can be really, really helpful to start learning how to like feel and experience your emotions. And, with this increased sensitivity, I'm extremely sensitive, you know, all the time, like on every diet I've ever been on. Like now I'm like the most sensitive ever. But, um, yeah, if you're a sensitive person and you switch to vegan, like everything is going to be a bit more intense. So don't be afraid to get support if you're struggling, since you're not numbing. Um, you have the opportunity to not numb with food anymore. And I think that's really, really exciting. Like it can be a time where you start learning how to actually navigate your emotions and heal and like feel everything. Um, what else was supportive? I eventually did a bunch of 12-step work, which was helpful because clearly I had some like addiction problems and codependency issues. So finding groups that resonate that will help facilitate emotional processing, healing, inner child work. I think a lot of this you can do, there are so many online programs doing this kind of stuff these days that that can be a way to support yourself, especially like in our current global situation where maybe the in-person things are harder. But having a mix of like that in-person group support, online group support, can be super, super helpful. Or if you're like blessed enough to like be able to work with a coach, like a one-on-one coach, like that can be, if you find someone who's like intuitive and like can help you emotionally process, then I wish I would have had a coach back then, like who could help me with, what I'm eating, my exercise, like starting to get my life direction mapped out, the emotional piece. I mean, that would have been like the best, but yeah,
This
all
is
of
kind of
those.
like a out there question, but do you
Hmm.
see a common thread between all of those modalities, like the therapy, the
Hmm.
Reiki, the shamanic work, uh, uh, um, self-parenting,
Hmm.
coaching? Do they all have a common thread at all?
Do you see one, Tina?
I don't know. I'm like, because I'm asking myself this question too,
Yeah,
like what,
yeah.
I'm diving into emotional availability for myself. And then I was like just wondering that because I was asking you about like tools that have helped you on your path be emotionally supportive for yourself.
Yeah.
I guess one thing that I see could be a potential common thread is like being aware of the
Mm-hmm.
emotions,
Mm-hmm.
actually accepting them instead of avoiding them or fighting them.
Yeah.
And I guess using them as feedback.
Mm-hmm.
But do you have anything else to add to that? Like as a
Yeah, I think empowerment.
mm,
Like they're all empowering. Like Reiki is incredibly empowering. Shamanic healing is empowering because it's like it's clearing away what doesn't serve and then like imbuing your energetic body with like who you truly are. Um, yeah, working with a coach, you know, you're being assigned like action steps, you're creating action steps, you're building that trust back with yourself.
other
And
people involved or like some kind of like accountability aspect, I guess too.
definitely. Yeah. And connection. Like if you're having trouble with your emotions and you're just like, you know, you feel like alone with them or stuck in them, I think like having that support, someone to talk to, someone who is emotionally available, right? Because, you
Who's
know,
not judging it, who's not
right.
criticizing it, not shaming it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And someone who will hold space too, you know, until you can learn to hold the space for yourself,
yeah,
or in addition to you learning to hold the space for yourself.
yeah. Well, Art, I just have one more question.
Okay.
For you on your vegan path and journey, um, overall, like, what are the specific things or books or people
Mm-hmm.
that you'd like to give shout outs to that were major anchors of support for keeping you on your path? Like,
Mm-hmm. Man, I wish I could remember like the vegan blog. I think it was
yeah.
like it was something like the Sweets Life or something. Like this blogger, she was blonde, she was cute, she had kids, she ran, she had good recipes. If I could shout her out, I would. There was some other like super old school like vegan forum where I was getting recipes. Um, that I don't remember the name of, but one of the recipes was like these happy vegan chocolate chip cookies. And that's where the happy vegan of my email address, happy vegan 22,
Oh,
came from, was those happy vegan chocolate chip cookies. And then the 22 was because I was 22 when I went vegan. That's also a
oh,
cool double number.
that's cool.
Yeah. But No Meat Athlete blog, who I just did the bundle with, the No Meat Athlete bundle, they were really, really supportive of me, to me, for me. When I was getting started with recipes, I would listen to Matt Fraser's podcast and was like really inspired to run and just like, you know, like feel really good and enjoy the lifestyle and thrive. And then there was the Sid Garza Hillman podcast. I think it had some kind of approaching the natural. I really liked him and felt very inspired by him. He was another like vegan runner, nutritionist. Um, and what else? I'm trying to think of like just the vegan because the raw it's like a whole other
Yeah, that's
list.
a whole another journey.
Yeah, so just, you know, my first couple years, the next big inspiration for me was Reboot with Joe Cross, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead, you know,
Oh,
which were like approaching the raw thing. But he inspired me to do a juice cleanse. And then um, Forks Over Knives, watching that documentary, that was like about a year and a half after I went vegan. That was a great, great documentary. And then connecting with Dr. Joel Furman's Nutritarian Eat to Live style of vegan diet.
Did you
Um,
actually read the book or did you? Okay, cool.
yeah. I read it and I like followed his meal plan for 6 months and used a lot of his recipes. I ordered different supplements from him. Was like my first like actually whole food plant-based higher raw like 50% raw diet, and I started getting really good results then, and then raw vegan was shortly after that.
Nice.
But yeah, those were the big vegan inspirations that I can remember.
Mm.
Yeah.
Giving all the love to them.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, so much.
Yeah, it's nice
Yeah.
to mention like who we get inspired by. Like maybe they don't
Mhm.
even know, that they have
Mm-mm.
this influence or impact.
Mhm.
Um,
True.
so I guess the last thing I want to ask you is if you have any projects in the future you are looking forward to, and would you like to share publicly with people?
Mm. There are many projects that a lot of them are still crystallizing.
Mhm. Well, I know you
Yeah,
just came out with your third book.
that's right.
Exciting. What's the
Yeah,
name
it's on
of it?
sale. It's on sale, y'all. It's 50% off. All
Yay.
my ebooks are 50% off right now. But yeah, my latest book is like my best book. It's really, really beautiful. The recipes are really good. The information's really good. And yeah, people seem to really be enjoying it. So, and that infuses Ayurveda, which was, oh, I forgot, like my Ayurveda book. That was like so inspirational to me. It was Healing Depression the Mind Body Way.
Okay.
And that was my first Ayurveda book, and it was, I think, either completely vegan or largely vegan, and that really helped me start putting together my emotions and learning to nourish myself and learning how to use yoga in a supportive way as I was making all of these changes. So, yeah, but my books use Ayurveda, infuse it into a raw vegan lifestyle. And yeah, it's really fun. It's
Wow.
fun to do.
Just so people know, what's the name of your book?
My book is Raw Food Ayurveda Volume 3. It is available in the link in my bio at Joyful Raw Life. And yeah, all my ebooks are 50% off with code JOY, all caps, 50. And that will only be for a few more days. That is ending soon.
Yay.
So go over there and get stuff if you want stuff.
Yeah. And also
Yeah.
you share a ton of inspiration and tips. You have coaching, you have books.
Yeah.
So where can people find you if they want to
Yeah,
find you?
I am taking coaching clients too, and that for that you just DM me and we talk and
That's
we meet. But I do offer holistic health coaching in the form that, I was kind of saying that I wanted back when I was transitioning. So yeah, super holistic. I do the energy healing. I'm a Reiki practitioner. Um, so we can really handle the whole thing, getting your diet dialed in, getting your exercise dialed in, getting all the other aspects of healthy lifestyle, because it's not just food, dialed in, but definitely help you transition to a vegan lifestyle. That to me is like the most fun working with people who are like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like, I want to change. I want to lose weight. I want to do this or that. Having a clear goal. If you're ready to change and you want support, I love working with highly motivated individuals. So
yes.
send me a DM and we'll get going.
So your Instagram is at Joyful Raw Life. You also have a
Hmm.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, that's Taylor A. Norris is my YouTube channel. I'm usually posting something about once a week. Hopefully Tina will send me the download of this so I can post it on my channel. We'll discuss that later.
Of course.
But yeah, usually I'm posting a video about once a week, and I definitely want to keep posting videos throughout this next year. Start maybe like amping that up a little bit because videos are fun and I
Yeah.
like them. Yeah.
And all the rest of your links, like your website and everything, that's all available on your Instagram, correct?
Yeah, yeah. I've got a whole link tree in my bio. It's got more stuff than you probably want to see. There's some, yeah, discounts and, coupons and stuff if you want to grow living foods.
Yay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Taylor. I'm really grateful you came on. I hope this inspired a lot of people. And please go check out Taylor's sites. She does amazing work. It's really beautiful too. So I love the aesthetics.
Thank you,
And
Tina.
yeah, thank you. And I'm looking forward to our talk tomorrow. We are going to do it again at noon, and it's all about your raw vegan switch. So leveling up, we
Yeah.
will
I'm
join each
excited
other.
for that one. I feel
Yeah,
like there's even more to share on that one. That
yeah.
one's been super epic.
It'll be like chapter two, the
Hmm.
continuation as you evolve.
Yeah. Next level for sure.
Thank you, Taylor.
Yeah, thank you for being a great facilitator, a
Oh,
great asker of profound, deep questions, and extracting my story in such a beautiful way. I really appreciate having this conversation with you.
hmm. Well, thanks everyone for joining us. I really appreciate that, Taylor. And I'll be seeing you tomorrow. And I definitely will give you the copy of this when I get it. And yes, everybody join us tomorrow. And I look forward to seeing you. Thanks
Bye,
again.
everyone. Thank you, Tina.
Bye.
Thank you,
Love you
everybody.
all.
Mwah. Much love.
Bye.
Bye.